welcome to Sonic Talk number 366. That's right, we have passed our year milestone and now we're just in regular uninteresting numbers. So that means you can have a year and a day of listening. That crack's going to get tired very soon, so I'll skip it. But I want to say welcome everybody. We've just had Glastonbury. We've also... unfortunately now, between our regular panellists and myself, both of our countries have been knocked out of the World Cup, so there's no excuse but other than to be watching Sonic Talk either on the YouTube channel. If you watch it on YouTube, you might normally listen to it on MP3, but it's also we upload it every week to YouTube, and you can subscribe if you want to. There's a button somewhere. I'd appreciate that, because then you'll get a feed for all of our stuff, because we've got a heck of a lot of videos and what have you, other content coming up. But this week's show, sponsored as ever by Isotope. Isotope are makers of very fine plugins and virtual instruments. In fact, if you've been following, they've been giving away a copy of something every week, and we've had a spate of Isotope Iris, which is their spectral synthesizer. We've got a winner for last week's competition, which we're going to announce, and also we're going to have another competition set this week. That's one every week. I can't think how generous they are. That's kind of pretty serious amount of prizage right there. So we will announce that later. In the meantime, I want to say thanks to our chat room. Our chat room are here again. Fulsome, as I want to say, and I'll say it again, I don't mind. There they are in full colour. You can see it that way if you like. You can also watch it. You can watch it on the site live, and you can also, if you wish, you can also get an IRC client. There should be instructions on sonicstate.com/live. Anyway, all that stuff, housekeeping out the way. Let's move on. We'll move on. We'll crack on. We're very fortunate once again to have Mr. Corey Banks from B-Boy Tech Report. There he is. He's in a new venue. I don't know if he's moved house or what's going on there. You just decided to mix it up a little bit, hey Corey?
A little bit. Decided that a white background with very clean lines is a better background. I'm on vacation, so decided to join from vacation. Got no work to go to, so I figured I'd join you guys and have a little chat about whatever we have to chat about.
That's very kind of you, Corey, and I'm sure you must be missing all of your synthesizers and everything, though. How you getting your fix, or are you taking a break from that too?
Oh no, you can never take a break from that. So I got my
CME X key.
X key on deck, along with you got to have some pads.
Right? That's the Keith McMillan Q. Is it Cuneo or Cuneo?
Cuneo.
How do you get on with that? Because it's got 4 points, doesn't it, that you can hit?
Yeah, actually, it's pretty nice because, you know, it gives you a lot of control and sensitivity and stuff. So that's cool. I've been lately, you know, working with Bitwig and trying to get used to Bigwig. So that's what I've been using it with. Ah,
okay, interesting. And are you? What are you using it to trigger? What do you use in software to trigger your samples or whatever? Is it Contact or what? What are you using?
Well, various things actually. Contact, battery, just various things. And you know, actually, in Bitwig, it has containers. So you have these little containers. There's a drum machine, or there's different synth instruments. But the Bitwig drum machine container has been pretty cool. I can load my drum samples in there and get that same banging boom bap type of flavor out of that, just because I got, you know, samples that have that flavor. But yeah, the drum machine is pretty good for it. And
how are you getting on with Bitwig? Because we posted our first piece with Gaz, I think yesterday, of Bitwig, and he spent some time with it, and he was finding it harder because I'm guessing the same with you, really, because you're used to a particular work environment. How are you finding that transition?
You know, that's a good question. I dig it. I do like Bitwig, but it's just like anything. It's new. So I'm trying to get used to just the flow of it. And then, too, if you come from a background like myself with MPCs, you're used to a certain swing. And now I've kind of learned how to work the quantize in Bitwig. So that gives a little bit better control. So since I've gotten used to the quantize, it's actually gotten better. So I like it. But there's still a lot more to be learned. I mean, like, it's easy to drag things onto a track, open up an instrument. I've been able to open up all kinds of other VSTs and stuff. It's easy to drag a loop onto a track and slice that to 16 pads for like the Cuneo and things. But still, there's little quirks that I have to get used to,
Right.
and you know, working through it. But I don't think it's I don't think it's anything that I'd be like, I'll never use this thing. It's actually pretty interesting. I like the interface, but I'm still getting used to it, and it will take. It is a learning curve, so it will.
So
take a
when
little
you're
bit.
talking about the quantize and stuff, are you meaning like the kind of the swing and the shuffle and those kind of groove features? Are they? I mean,
Exactly.
are those sort of things radically different between DAWs? I suppose everybody has their own flavour for it.
Yeah, they can be pretty different. Like, I mean, the one in Logic, I'll tell you, I've used Logic for years. So what I use when it comes to the quantize and the groove, I'll import groove templates. Somebody was nice enough to take a classic MPC 60 or MPC 3000 and make groove templates for every swing point. So for like 50% swing, 51% swing at each timing signature, all the way up to whatever it is, like 60 something, 68, 69 swing or whatever. And so what I would do in Logic is I was import those so that, you know, it's just like using an MPC in that case. And the timing is really on point, and you really get that swing and that kind of signature to an MPC. So I wish Bitwig had something like that, but at the same time, they quantize, and the features that they have on there, like there's a swing and then there's a percentage, a humanize, and all of that kind of stuff. So it works out pretty well so far.
Ah, that's interesting. Because I've had the Trigger Finger Pro here for a while, and I found that I would just need to dial in, you know, anything more than about 54% was just, I mean, unless you're going for that really strong feel, was just enough. It's really small amounts. Is that how it works on the MPC, sort of very small amounts, or do you kind of tend to go further?
Well, yeah, no, it's very small amounts. It's very small amounts, but you can go as strong as you want to. I mean, it goes really, and I mean, some people like that way. I mean, it's really like just kind of jumping. It almost like takes control over your notes. I don't like it that much. I kind of like to humanize it so that even if I'm a little offbeat, that kind of gives me a little flavor, a little feel that I like. So I'd like to kind of keep it on a little bit,
right?
But I still like to keep it human so that whatever I'm playing in here, it comes out to what I'm actually doing. So yeah, it's like that on the MP too.
Interesting, because you've got so many different ways you can have triplet swing, but only apply a small amount of it, you know, is the percentage.
Yeah.
Anyway, Mark, very patiently there, Mark Tinley there in Glastonbury, who is professional fairy catcher. No, he's not. He didn't catch one. You never did tell us whether you caught a fairy. But no, Mark is a music technologist, also creative thinker, and just general man about town. How are you, Mark? You well?
I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, very well. I'm just thinking about that groove thing now, because I don't know. I don't notice the subtle increments, and that maybe I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But what I always think of as being swing time is the stuff that was in the 909 when that came out. It had like 4 different settings, didn't it, for more swingy kind of beats. And I think the Logic already has steps that correspond to the Roland ones, the A, B, C, D, and E.
Ah, right, okay.
Are the basic steps. But but I used to work it out mathematically when I had the MC. Is it called an MC202? Is my brain gone? Yeah, no,
it was an MC202.
Microcomposer, yeah. And each bar of the 909 added up to either 192 or 384 pulses per quarter note, and I can't remember which. But I know that I used to break it up so it would be like 15 and then 9. And if you moved to 16 and then 8, that became like that became like almost like 3/4 on an 808 or a 909.
Wow.
So I thought that really skippy one was nice, 15/9, which is kind of almost almost triplet, but not quite. And I'm pretty sure that because I liked all of the Detroit, not Detroit techno, no,
music stuff.
Washington. What's that stuff called from Washington? My brain's not working.
Oh, Go-Go?
Go-Go, yeah. Chuck Brown and all that stuff.
Yeah. Go-Go does have a really nice swing to it. That's true. Yeah.
It's kind of skippy, isn't it?
Identifiable right away.
Treble funk.
Yeah.
Drop the bomb on the White House lawn and all that stuff.
That's right.
Yeah, God, that takes me back, Mark, because that used to be played all the time. That was about the time of all those warehouse parties in London before the rave scene hit. It was Go-Go.
Yeah, exactly.
It was all of that stuff, wasn't it?
and 808 bass drums coming out. You'd be like, whoa, how do you do that? I want to learn how to do that.
Wow, God, that takes me back. I'm trying to remember. I remember going to a few warehouse parties, and they always used to be in sort of abandoned warehouses, as you would see fit.
Yeah.
There'd be a collective that would take them over, and they'd sort of party it all up. Usually have a load of UV. I remember one, there was this really difficult, you had to kind of get into this massive space where they had the sound system, and what they did is they UV lit everything and then just laid trails of washing powder down the corridors,
Oh, wow.
which would be lit up with the UV light. So you'd have this kind of white trail of blue sort of powder that you'd kind of follow. Or that doesn't make sense, but you know what I'm saying.
That does make sense. It sounds very familiar, actually. I'm sure they did that in the London. Was this in London, or were you in Bristol?
It was in London, yeah.
Oh, maybe I went to the same one then. I went to one in Shoreditch somewhere that was by a canal, but the party itself was on the first floor, but the ground floor of it, you had to almost kind of break into the canal and go through all this kind of wire fencing and stuff, and then go through what was a building site, and then find your way up into the party. It's the health and safety implications of that are just absolutely terrifying, really. But
yeah,
it was fun at
just
the time.
that and Red Stripe Lager. That was it, wasn't it? That was
Red Stripe Lager. Yeah.
My God, I'm sorry.
So
Me and Mark are
just
sharing a sort of cultural history that perhaps you don't have. You probably got something similar. What was it? Colt 45? What was the equivalent?
Colt 45. Yeah. Well, there's Red Stripe here too, but yeah, maybe Old English back in the day would be more like it. But it's funny that you are talking about warehouse parties, because we had these loft parties. It wasn't quite as adventurous to get into, but there was a club in Chicago, I remember, called the Warehouse. It was kind of like a big warehouse, but then we had all these loft parties and stuff. So yeah, it's interesting how those cultural lines cross. It's kind of the same stuff. Yeah.
Anyway, we've got topics and stuff. I did prepare some things, although I have been filling massively because I know that we haven't got that much to talk about. We're in the summer season, as you'd think. Anyway, things tend to be kind of a little bit quieter. But actually, not all that quiet, because if we look here, what's this, you might ask? This is something called Modulus 002. And it's a site that came up. This is a company that are actually in Bristol. I can't believe I didn't know anything about it, and they're in Bristol. It's Modulus 002, and it's apparently a brand new British polysynth. Here's a sound example. Pulse width modulation, guaranteed to get me interested. Oh, that sounds nice. What's this arpeggiator jam like? Let's have a listen to that one as well. So this is a hybrid synth, apparently, according to the blurb. So there are analog parts of it, I believe. I don't know which is which. And then there's some digital stuff, so I'm guessing. Now, I'm guessing this is probably, when you generally talk hybrid, usually you're talking digital oscillators, and then maybe an analog filter or something. I don't know whether that's the case. I mean, but to start with, how cool is that? A British polysynth. I mean, that's just... I was thinking... I put in my story when I found out about this. I posted... they released a teaser last Thursday. And I put in the story about... what was the last British polysynth? And I couldn't think of any. And then somebody said, what about the Cheetah MS6? And that was the only one. And I owned one of those. Mark... last British polysynth that you can think of any description? Let's have a go. I've got him stumped. Check it out.
I've kind of got an inkling that there might have been a Vestifier one, but maybe not. Maybe I've made that up. Yeah, though I think you're right. Cheetah MS6. That's a really long time ago.
Welsh, in fact, that was apparently. There is a difference. It's a bit like the difference between Canada and the US, I guess. Corey, I'm not expecting you to come up with a... I heard you Google there, though.
Yeah, I was Googling that. And you know what came up? Your site with this modulus.
Excellent. Well, it's nice. That just shows, if you can get first, how important that is in terms of SEO. Right. It's bizarre, isn't it? Yes, we do know. What we do know about this is it's got something to do with Paul Maddox, who was a guy who made something called the Monowave. He's always been really into PPGs, and he's built sort of boutique stuff. He built sort of various things along the way. and his last, like, he had this company called Vacaloco, which when I wrote the story was still up, but now if you go to vacaloco.net, it points to Modulus Music. So I'm guessing he's been subsumed with this new thing. I mean, this looks like more than perhaps him is involved. But he's the boffer. I mean, that's the picture of it there. It looks kind of tasty. Obviously, that looks like, what, a 5-octave keyboard and quite a number of knobs there. Is this thrilling you? I mean, it looks probably more expensive than any of us can afford, but kind of fun, eh? It's always nice to see something new like this.
I love all this stuff. I mean, yeah, and it probably is something I wouldn't buy, but that doesn't mean that I suppose if I had unlimited funds, I probably would. I mean, I'd love to get my hands on it and try it.
Yeah.
And there is like such a massive difference between. I think I'm really. I mean, yeah. Where should I go with it? I've noticed that sound, in general, has gone down this strange path of real clarity and definition at the expense of warmth. So anything that I hear on a big sound system now sounds like, wow, isn't it amazing how it kind of sounds like a record? It sounds like I can hear all the parts of everybody playing each individual thing, and the clarity is like incredible. But there's a kind of and it might be because I've got 50-year-old ears, maybe, but there's a sort of a glassiness to it and an unpleasantness to it, and a something about it that you would never notice on a mobile phone, but over a big rig, it's kind of like, whoa, okay, whatever's happened to that sound doesn't sound nice anymore. And it's because we've modeled everything and we've made everything very static. So when we model digital synths, we model something that happens in a kind of a split instant, and then we make that the sound. Whereas these things are very organic and they move around a lot. And when you play them, there's a warmth from the fact that it moves around a lot. So much as I love having everything in my laptop, I also love getting my hands on things that just go,
yeah,
you know, like that. And that analog keys thing is a really good example of that. I can't put my finger on what makes it sound really good, but it does something, kind of excites the ears in a way that the digital stuff doesn't.
No,
you know what it is. In my opinion, is that the analog, you have electricity moving through actual circuits and components, and I just think that there's constant movement, and whether it's audible to your ears or something that you just kind of feel that there's a constant. It's alive. It's really alive, as opposed to what you were saying, just like with the digital stuff. Those are calculations of a moment in time almost. It's like an electronic sample of a sound, you know, and otherwise, and that's why I've recently in the last year or two gotten so much into analog synths, because once I heard them for myself, you can hear the liveliness, you know.
Right.
You play the same couple notes that you would play on a digital thing, and this is more lively.
I guess the thing is now, I mean, this isn't, I don't believe this is modeled. This is just got digital aspects to it. I mean, in fact, if we look at the web, that looks very much like some kind of circuit. If I click on there, what happens? Will it get bigger? Yeah, it might do. That looks like that might be an analog component. I don't know what it looks like, but that looks like there's some analog stuff going on there. I mean, I think, and also, but now, I mean, if we're switching back to software or pure DSP stuff, the coders are getting smart enough to know that you have to dial in some analog. I mean, in fact, what was that? There was a Monarch. Did you have a look at the Monarch, which was a reactor-based kind of mini clone?
Yeah.
And that had something about it that sounded really analog, because I think they modeled it in the code, really right? Cool. And it really did sound kind of quite variable. And there was something about it that made you just go, oh, this is different, right?
I think there's something else.
I think the technology has gotten to a point where they can get the modeling down pretty close. But, and I'll say for those of us who are fortunate enough to be able to, own like the synth of our dreams or whatever it is that may be this analog, or even all these vintage synths that you just can't get a hold of anymore. When you got people that are programming things like Monarch, then I think we're lucky in that sense, because those things come really close, and they've done a really good job in kind of factoring in those odd bits and pieces that happen, those anomalies that happen in analog. So yeah, it comes pretty close. But still, once you get an analog synth in your hands and you go to play, you instantly know the difference. And I used to not believe that, but it's true. It is true.
Sorry, Mark, you had something to add there.
I was just going to say, I think as they, as this stuff progresses and they perfect it more and more, they knock all of the character out of it. I mean, this is all manufacturers in general. So if I take my Line 6 stuff, my Line 6 pod sounds pretty good. It sounds a bit like a guitar amp. It's got some real thump and stuff to it. And my later one seems to have been homogenized further. So although it sort of sounds more like the thing it's meant to sound like, it's lost all its character. And it sounds very flat and two-dimensional. So it's and they manufacturers seem to think it's more about putting more and more features in and then optimizing it so they can get all those features in, rather than making it really good at doing one thing. So I think some of the early digital stuff can sound good. Even a DX7 sounds good, doesn't it? It's got some bloody balls to it that plugins just don't seem to have.
Well, yeah, I mean, as I said, I think that's getting a lot better. But
actually,
I mean,
I'll say some plugins.
Some plugins. But this looks really interesting, and it looks like, you know, as you can see with the web, they've got, you know, how many slots are there? There's six slots. So we've got another 2 to go. I'm guessing that's going to be revealed with probably Thursday. Tomorrow there might be another one coming out. It's going to be quite interesting. I hope. But I'm just really.
What about
pleased.
Novation? When we were talking about British.
It's not an analog. It's not analog though. It's pure DSP, so it's slightly different. It is slightly different. I mean, but yes, it is a polysynth. I suppose that's fair enough. I'll take your point, but not an analog one. So, and there is.
I can't think of any others, but
you know, as I think about this, and you know, the digital versus analog things, you know what I've learned? To accept both of them for what they are. You know, some analog synths don't sound so great either. Some digital synths don't sound so great. And then there's a trade-off. You have some digital that, like, you know, they're good at what they do and not so great at emulating. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm interested in how companies like this are combining the two as well.
I think you have to. I mean,
I'm looking forward to.
There was something. There was a talk that Dave Smith gave at an institute somewhere recently that I think was posted on Synthtopia, and he was talking about, you know, the thing is, you make an analog monosynth, it's easy by comparison of making an analog polysynth, because making an analog polysynth, you've got to get all the voice boards to match up. They've got to be calibrated in the same way. They've got to be able to self-calibrate so that they stay within a reasonable reasonable amount of tolerance. It just gets way more expensive and complicated. And that's one of the reasons why he's using digital oscillators, because he doesn't have to worry about that. He can then kind of deal with it's much less expensive to make, and that's the thing that makes it really expensive, is to calibrate all those electronics, and that's, you know, and that's
right.
And we're probably not prepared to pay that sort of price. You know, look at the Schmidt. The Schmidt is, you know,
the Schmidt.
It's just not possible. So, you know, that's why we have, you know, it's bringing it all to a closer point. And I mean, I don't know how much this is going to be. I'm guessing it's not going to be, you know, low cost, but hopefully it will be.
Well, it better not be as much as the Schmidt.
I think that would be pretty hard, actually. I think, but yeah, I think it'd be pretty hard. But yeah, looking forward to finding out more about that. If you want to find out more, you just need to go to modulusmusic.me, or they're on Facebook and what have you. In fact, was there something on Facebook? Yes, I had a couple more pictures. They've released a couple more pictures in the last couple of days. There's a picture of a keyboard and this, which looks like a piece of leather of some sort. So I'm wondering if that might be an end piece or something. But I like the detail on that. I don't know if you can see there, the fact that it's got a little triangle, a little square, and a little noise, and a British flag. I think that's quite cool, actually.
Oh, look, I've got noise.
Nice. That's a great T-shirt.
I like that.
I was thinking about doing
That's from Custom Synth. I happened upon that on eBay on last week. It's one of Custom Synth's creations.
Nice.
Cool. I wanted to do a bunch of T-shirts with just kind of waveforms on them, or like the block diagram, or the block diagrams on parts of block diagrams on the MS-20, but I never got around to it.
I'd buy one.
Would you? Excellent. I've got one sale there.
It's not, now I gotta show off my T-shirt now too, because this is.
Oh yeah, cool.
Oh yeah.
Liking it.
Yeah.
Very futuristic, as well as being
That's right.
current. Something for all ages.
Good fun. Good fun. Something for all ages. Right.
So yeah, do check it out. It's you know, it's going to be coming soon, and I'm really looking forward to what that's going to be. Oh, someone's trying to get in touch with me on a chat room. What's going on there? Oh, I don't know how it works. That's my. I get to know your IRC client. Maybe I should have someone else getting to know the IRC client. That's what I'm hoping for. Of course, there is other news. I mean, the additional news. Actually, let's do an ad now, because we can get the isotope stuff in, then we can carry on. So now is the time that you can cough and make noises, Mark, or eat your hemp seeds, Mark. Yes. Right, so I'll just mute you guys and we'll do the ad. So here's a message from Isotope. If those, you know, stay tuned actually, because the Isotope will be announcing the winner of the competition afterwards, and we'll also be doing a new one. Yes, this is Isotope's virtual instrument. It has its roots actually in Sonic Talk, because we talked about RX technology and wouldn't it be great as a synth, and it became one, and it was partly due to our discussion, so I feel a very warm feeling towards it. It's natural intuitive selection tools. You can manipulate your audio visually, see an image of your sound, draw and select individual events. You can shape shifting, apply synthesis controls to your selections and layers, shape and morph new textures, sound sculpting. You can enjoy warm, lush virtual filters, delays, reverbs, chorus and distortions for each layer. There's lots of sound libraries too. It's very good for musical inspiration and sonic experimentation. There's a whole load of sound libraries that come with it. Mix the sounds of wood, glass, food, toys, voice, altered and prepared objects as crazy modular synths and pitch percussion, or just put your own found sounds in it and extract stuff. Download a free 10-day demo of Isotope Iris today at isotope.com/iris. And of course, as we know, we've had several winners of the said Iris. Last week we asked, if this is where you get time, if you're not a member of Twitter, it's worth joining now, because although the number of people submitting every week is getting traction, last week's winner has been picked. All you have to do to win is tweet out a couple of things. I'll tell you a bit more about that. But last week's winner, who had to tweet the hashtag sound design to @SonicNick and @Isotope Inc., was Joshua Lorenz. It's @Joshua Lorenz with a Z on the end. So if he wants to get in touch with me, we shall instruct the Isotope Fairy. She's like the Tooth Fairy, only for synthesizers, to bestow a copy of Iris into your account. So please do get in touch, Joshua. And of course, you can win one yourself. If I now go to my cunning extra shot here, let's have a look. There we go. You can win Isotope Iris yourself. All you have to do is tweet the hashtag IrisRocks. I made that up today, actually. I'm running out of adjectives here. I'm sure we'll get some more. The Isotope Fairy is very good at making them up. Tweet IrisRocks, hashtag IrisRocks, to @SonicNick and @Isotope Inc. So that's what you need. Basically, if you send a tweet with just that in it, that'll be enough. But it'd be nice to have some comments as well. It's always nice to see the comments coming in as well. So put a little note in there, because I read them all as well, because I've got to count them to select the winner. So there we go. @IrisRocks, hashtag @SonicNick and @Isotope Inc. And then you may well be the winner of Iris yourself next week when we announce this week's winner. Anyway, so let's get on to some more stuff. Ah, yeah, here we go. This is the System 1 plug out. This is from a live event that Mike Grieg hosted, who's also been a guest on this show a couple of times.
Now,
this is David, who is the demo guy. He's very good, actually, and he's basically... The plug out runs as an additional DSP, piece of DSP code in the System 1, but it also runs as a plugin itself. I'll keep talking because there's not much happened at the moment on the actual screen. And basically, it's Roland's own emulation of their own SH101 that runs either in the code as a plugin, but you can also store those sounds in the System 1 synth.
It's a plugin, so let's check out. I have a little Logic project here.
Here we go.
And let's have a listen to that.
Go on, let's have a look at the screen. So that's the plugin, I'm guessing. So
basically, what we're listening to now is not the System 1, but it's actually a separate plugin, which is the SH101 plug out plugin. Plug out.
You can watch that yourself. I think we posted a link to the actual live show, which I know they had some difficulties, but you can find technical difficulties on the day. Very ambitious thing to do, but good luck. Well done for trying. So the SH101 comes with the System 1, right? As the first free plugin. And then they are going to be releasing more plug outs. I get my terms wrong to go along with it. I know. What's the buzz like this for this amongst your readers, Corey?
Well, I know people have been really into the TR8. I got to say that myself personally, I was more excited out of all of those. What was it? 4 different things that comes with the Era line. I was more interested in the keyboard with the plug out and all of that. But the more I see it, you know, I'm still, and I said the same thing about the TR8. The more I see it, my excitement is kind of like, I don't know. You know, I'm just not sure. I think the look of it just turns me off. I do think there's some people that are still into it. I actually saw some people on Instagram that interact with me and follow me that had just gotten one. Somebody had just gotten one and was excited about using it and stuff. So I think people are into it, but I'm still waiting to kind of see what it's like. I tell you from that video you showed, what I didn't think was cool, and I must have just had it, you know, kind of crossed in my head. What I didn't think was cool is that for the plug out, if you have the SH101 plug-in on your computer, you can move sounds to the keyboard, but you can't. It's only 8 sounds that you can move to it so that you can disconnect it from the computer and play live. I thought the entire plug-in would move so that you could like hit a button and say, okay, I want to use the SH101 now, and then you could just kind of go through the presets and all of that. But apparently it's only 8 sounds. And,
I think you get a manual mode so that the plug out, the code is running in it, so then the controls of the synth will allow you to then, you know, tweak the actual parameters of the plug out. As far as I understand it, I mean, if that's not the case, that would be wrong. But
yeah, I think you can. I think you can, but you could save 8 presets. At least that's what the video was saying. Yeah.
No, I see what
you're
saying.
Kind of like live mode.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, I did a review of the first look of the System 1, which has been up for a couple of weeks now, and I think that there's lots of functions that I wasn't able to function. I didn't have a manual. So, for instance, you know, I didn't think that you could tune the oscillators wide range, but there are lots of extra functions. So my guess there might be, I mean, because let's face it, you could probably store an enormous amount of presets in there. I mean, it's not like they're kind of, you know, it's just a bunch of XML basically, isn't it? It's like this parameter is this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I'm pretty sure that must be a way around that. I've been playing with it a bit more. In fact, yesterday when we filmed Sonic Touch, we had a little jam at the end, and the IRA was one of the things that we plugged in. Of the 7 USB devices we plugged into a single iPad via a powered hub. And, you know, Gaz was going, oh, that sounds nice. You know, and it's the physical... The thing that I love about it is the physical interface. You know, that's the thing. Having a physical interface to something virtual. It doesn't matter whether it's virtual or analog or whatever. The fact that it's got a physical interface means that you connect with it more musically instantly. And yeah, it's not analog, it's DSP, and there's all those arguments that we can have about that. But the opportunity to have a physical input, a physical interface, really does count for a lot in my books. And, you know, for that price, there's quite a lot of physical input. I don't know. What do you think, Mark? I mean, did you have any 101 action back in the day with your rig?
The 101 was my introduction to grown-up synthesis. Before the 101, I made my own things out of old radios and sort of cobbled things together. And so the 101 is where I learned the art of synthesis. And it all happened after one drunken, stoned night in the pub when I went around to see my friend Stuart. And he said, oh, check this out. I've got one of these. And everyone else was kind of in one room having a party, and I was in this other room for hours going like, wow, this thing's amazing. Ending up with this pal of mine, Stuart, saying, well, you can borrow it if you want. And I took it home, and then you know, the sad part of that is that I was a guitarist for many years, and then the guitar got lent against the wall, and then I just got my head buried into into the 101, and then learned other synths from that. So it's sort of my benchmark synth, I suppose. And it's like, you know, but I was like 19 or something. And it's where I started to sort of understand how you make a flute, or how you make a piano, or how you make strings, or all that sort of stuff. So it's a very important synth for me. And I think for my brother Adam as well. And I think Adam was at that event, actually, at the SSR event. And I don't know. I mean, I like the look of the Roland thing.
I do too. I don't have a problem with the Tron.
I wanted to. to change color.
Oh yeah,
so
nice.
Choose what color it goes. My biggest problem, and it sounds good actually, if it sounds the way they've compared it. If it does sound like an SH101, then that can only be a good thing. My main problem is this.
Yes, I know. The Varios. Yeah.
Look how much dust's on it.
Well, that's not Roland's fault, Mark. That's your tardy housekeeping.
Because the only way I can use this is about nine or 10 years old, isn't it? This technology. The only way I can use this technology is to run Windows 98. If I run Windows XP. If I upgrade to Service Pack 3 on Windows XP, this just won't run. The drivers don't work, so it can't communicate with the computer. So the only way to run it is to run Windows 98, because Roland haven't written up-to-date drivers for it. Worse than that, they haven't written up-to-date drivers for the vSynth either, which is this is basically a vSynth in a rack. And it's got all the SuperSaw waveforms and stuff, and it sounds bloody brilliant. There's a Jupiter 8 emulation in here that sounds brilliant, and there's a 303 emulation in it that sounds brilliant. And it was promised to be open architecture, that they would keep releasing more and more things for it. And I think they released a D50 card for it, and then when they switched to the vSynth, they kind of just forgot this. When this came out, people were paying like well over $1,000 for this thing. And it's kind of a useless piece of kit in a sense now, unless you're very clever like me.
You got your virtual.
Unless you can work out how to run Windows 98 on your machine, it's not something that you can communicate with readily. So I think the System 1's less likely to go that way, because at least it has some controls on it. If I want to work with this, I've got like 3 knobs on the front panel, so there's not a great deal I can do in terms of tweakability. So I can turn it into a Jupiter 8 just by pressing a button on the front, and I can switch through the patches, but I can't actually get at the programming. So I guess if the System 1's got lots of knobs on it, great. But I think, and I'm going to openly say this, that Roland have a bad reputation for not writing drivers for their older stuff when they should continue supporting it for at least a few operating systems, as far if it's a computer-based product. And they also have a bad reputation for not releasing stuff that they say they're going to release. So if they're saying, oh, there'll be this synth and this synth and this synth, and they're all going to, there'll be, if in 3 years' time they've decided, oh, it's not selling that well and we'd be better off just putting this technology into something else, and they dump the thing like a hot brick, there's going to be lots of sort of System 1s kicking around in people's cupboards like this thing, gathering dust.
Well, yes, but
difficult to set up, and
I suppose at least the System 1 can actually work as a standalone instrument.
As a standalone,
so
well, this can, but it's
difficult, challenging.
Yeah, I just want to make that point, because I think if it's somebody in the company at Roland's listening to this and that needs to be addressed, then they need to go and work out why they don't support stuff for as long as, I've got other pieces of software that I bought, and they're sending me free updates after 15 years.
Yeah.
And they just they send me like,
I guess the thing is you've
got a tiny company that's Chicken Systems Translator. Right. That software, they're always, whenever they update it, they send me an email saying, would you like to download the next version of it free? And if they change the copy protection, I'm invited to buy a CD.
I know, but to be fair, Mark, the nature of that Chicken Sys is it's supposed to be a translator, so it works from Akai samples, and so it's in its own interest to have a long life, so that would make sense. But the other thing I would say about this is, I don't know why, when that's dead, they just don't go open source. Here you go. Just somebody can write drivers for it, keep it alive.
That's another way of supporting it. Yes, here's the code. Go and do with it what you will. Yes.
Yeah, but so.
but I suppose the reason for that is that actually entire operating system now lives in a vSynth. When you look at what comes up on screen for this, and you look at the internal architecture of a vSynth, they're very, very similar. And the vSynth has gone slightly more synth oriented. So yeah, they've put the filters in the chain in a slightly different way to how they are in the Varios. But but as far as the elastic audio stuff and all that stuff is concerned, it's the same. As far as the 303 emulation, that found its way in a V-Synth, but in a slightly different place. And the same with the Jupiter and the Juno emulations. Those filters and those waveforms just got moved around slightly.
Well, so who's to say that there isn't some roots of this in what we're talking about here? I mean, I'm not saying there is, but knowing how Roland can be with trying to make sure their technology rolls out over long periods of time. We've seen it prior to the IRA range. We've seen it, iteration after iteration after iteration of using the same supernatural stuff. So yeah, there is that. A couple of things in the chat room that are worth mentioning. I think it's gone by, but I think Lagrange was saying that, or was it Atomic Shadow was saying that the King Korg sounds really good, and that's a kind of virtual analog. I guess that's a self-contained thing.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the problem is, with any of this stuff is, if they don't sell all that well, it seems to have taken a while to get the 101 working. Does that mean now they've got it, it's really easy for them to do more, or does each one going to take this amount of time? This is the thing. And there have been rumours as well that the TR-8 is going to have some firmware updates that allows it to be other drum machines other than the 808 and the 909 too, so...
That would be cool.
It would be cool. I mean, one thing I would say in Roland's defence is, now there is a guy who's in charge of IRA for the whole range. They've got, like I said before, I think the internal structure's changed, so they've got like a synth guy and they've got an IRA guy, so that means the two product ranges sort of almost seem like they've been ring fenced to have, they've got resources, so I'm hoping that's not going to be the case, but I do take your point.
I mean, I just want to stress
and
that
it's a very good point, by the way, Mark. No, I was just saying it's a good point. Yeah. I'm actually going to make that point as Mark was saying it, because I know people that have complained a lot about Roland dropping support for stuff that are great ideas and are great products, but then after a certain period of time, it's like it's at the end of life and they just kind of kill it. And you're right, there'll be certain things that they said they would do, certain things they said they would make available. It's just not, it doesn't happen.
Very difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's difficult.
One thing I would say is we did plug the System 1 into the iPad chain yesterday to try it, and it's not class compliant. It's got it hasn't got class compliant MIDI or class compliant audio, which just seems kind of crazy.
That's the problem, though. That's a big problem, because the V-Synth isn't class compliant, and I just couldn't get it to integrate with my system in the way I wanted to integrate it because of that. I had to fiddle around for hours and hours trying to make the Snow Leopard driver work on.
There's some dog drama going on in your house.
Dogs, the dog's having a...
The dog agrees.
The dog and the child are having a wrestle.
Yeah, all very valid points, and I think but hopefully what other models would you like to see? I mean, I don't know, Corey, you obviously the 101's a big deal. What else do you think would be nice? I'm guessing there's probably going to be a Juno. Maybe.
Yeah, I would love to see a Juno on that. I mean, I think wasn't there a rumor that they said they would do a Juno? I would love to see something like that. I mean, any of their classics, I would love to see it. And honestly, I'll say again, I'm not a fan of the look of the thing. And it would be cool, though, like Mark said, if it changed colors.
Yeah.
But I have to say that the comparison of the System 1 and the SH-101 would sound pretty close.
Yeah.
So because of that, I am interested to get my hands on it to see how it sounds in my place on my speakers and kind of get an idea of what it's like. I'd be interested to hear any of the plug outs that they're talking about bringing out.
Well, I will say,
got a long line.
I will say, I have procured an SH-101 so that when the plug out comes and I can do the second part of the review, I'm going to get a scope up and we're going to look at the waves and we're going to do it like true AB, because I've got that Bitscope micro, which is a proper oscilloscope. So I'm going to be doing that. So. I'm hoping...
I don't think it would be hard for them to be able to put the Juno or the Jupiter in it, because the Juno and the Jupiter are already in the Verios. So those filters and those waveforms, all they've got to do is... Oh, for God. Sorry.
He agrees again.
But... I mean, maybe they're using the core of some of that code so it can be ported across so that they can do... I guess the thing that's going to be missing is the chorus, That's because the System 1 has got delay and reverb, which are fine and kind of fun to play with. But what made the sound of the Juno, the JX3P, certainly those, is the chorus, which would be nice to have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know whether it will. And there's no audio external.
Well, you know what? If that was such a integral part of the original sense, I would hope that they would try to find a way to port that into the System 1, or else it's not really a faithful reproduction, and it's their own product. So I should hope that they would go that extra mile.
Yeah.
There's a couple of cool ways of getting that chorus tone, actually. There's a plugin by a company called TAL, and they already make an...
Sorry, your cat's going. Your cat's going. What's next? Can we have, like, have you got a budgie or something? Perhaps a pigeon could fly through the open window.
I'm just going to pretend it's not happening. There's a company called TAL, and they make an SH-101 emulation, but they also make a standalone Roland chorus emulation, which is actually quite good.
Right.
And there's also another one, which is a PG8X or PX8P or something. There's a standalone chorus from the JX8P as a VST plugin, which is also actually quite good. But if you put those things across your synths in your signal chain, it does give that sort of Roland sense of width and warmth to strings and stuff. So they're both worth looking at and putting on your machine, and they're both free.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's good. Of course, the classic one is the Boss CE1. I don't know if anyone's ever seen that big kind of green kind of pedal with two buttons. That sounds amazing.
Well, the VST plug-in version of the chorus part of the JX8P, if you put that across a guitar, it sounds really like the CE1.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Excellent. Well, that's a top tip there. Thank you very much for that.
It is a tip. It's a good tip.
Right. Well, let's get on to this next one. This is kind of interesting. This is the they're called DJ Tuner. No, they're called Tuner. They're called Tuner DJ Gear, which is an interesting concept in. And what they've basically come up with, I think I've got it here, is the notion. We've talked about this before, and I think we saw knobs stick-on knobs on a screen, and these are called tuner knobs. I don't know, I guess tuner maybe being a pun on the tuner rather than tuner.
Yeah.
So this is what they look like. You can stick them on, and they're going to do a Kickstarter, and so you can stick them on to stuff. I'm guessing they've probably got some capacitive thing that when you turn it, it's like having your finger on it. That's my guess. I don't know if that's true. There's very little data available because this is actually just from the press kit. So they haven't started their Kickstarter yet. There's been lots of speculation about this. I know that Synthtopia posted this as well. There's been lots of people kind of going, so basically they're going to be kind of fairly crummy, inaccurate, and only work on one layout. All valid points, I guess. But, you know, we sort of got excited about this at one point. Do you remember, Mark? I can't remember what they were. There was something like a stick-on knob onto a screen that we...
Yeah, they glued onto laptop screens, didn't they? But it needed something that went on the back of the scron to communicate with.
Like a Bluetooth thing,
so
perhaps.
It did something magnetic on the front, stuck on your screen, and then it
could possibly go wrong?
On the back.
Right.
This looks much better, actually.
Magnet
the
on your
system
computer,
looks like...
Yeah.
I mean, the thing is, if this system worked on Windows 8, then that would be really cool, because then I can buy that great big Lenovo tablet and glue those knobs all over it, and then have Ableton running on it and have real-time control over all the pans and all sorts of things. That might work.
That could work. Does this
I'll try it when they come out.
Corey, are you much of an iPad user? I mean, I'm guessing...
Yeah, big time.
I mean, the thing is, all iOS devices everywhere are kind of there's a status symbol to them to a degree, and there's also the fact that everybody's got them, and what's really pushed them forward to the forefront is the music applications, right? So everybody's presumably going to be... Does this sort of thing kind of fill you with anticipation and excitement, or not?
I don't know. I mean, it looks interesting. I think there's something to be said for that tactile feel, obviously, right? With everything, that's kind of the way of the now, not even the future. It's like it's all about bringing back the tactile feel and getting away from the mouse and stuff. But with an iPad, it's already touch surface, and you already have a good sense of what you're doing. I mean, like if there's a knob on there and you kind of just go around in a circle, you can get a good feel for what you want to bring up. But I mean, for some people, I think it may be cool to have these knobs.
Well, as long as you don't look away. That's the thing. If you look away, then you're screwed. You can't, because you can't remember. You don't know where you were. That's the only thing I would say.
Well, you know, in the picture, didn't it look like there was there's like a color dial, so it kind of leaves you, it notes what your point was or whatever it is.
Oh,
I don't know. It's tough to tell from the pictures.
Yeah, I think. Hold on, if I go there, yeah. If you look, I mean, that depends on the application. I mean, that looks like some sort of OSC Lemur kind of thing, so that's possible. It is possible. I don't know how much it's going to be, but I tell you what I did find, which was really interesting. I've got a video for that, so if I just play that, you'll be able to see this as well. This was Get in the Mix, were at, I believe it was at NAMM, Get in the Mix online. Here's something from their channel, and this is the Ion Scratch to Go, right?
I like the look of that, because what are we doing? We're incorporating hardware with software, and that is about as close as you can get to record. Sorry, to incorporate hardware with software. Now check this out. That is an iPad. That's a crossfade, and I don't know if you can see, but underneath you're actually moving.
So that's doing the same kind of thing. In fact, in that looked like a prototype, because I have in fact found you can buy that for £14.99 at Maplin, which is like a kind of cheap outlet. Yeah, Ion Scratch to Go system for iPad. Right, so there we go. So you got 3 faders and 2 spinny wheel things. So presumably they're just capacitive stuff. Look, they even got little, I don't know if you could see, there's little, if I zoom,
suction cups.
Just suction cups, just brilliant sort of cheap tech. Just such a sort of, yeah, there we go, look. Oh, can I get that to scroll up? I might be able to. So yeah, look, so they just stick on suction cups, which I actually kind of like that. I think that's groovy. So, I mean, that's the same kind of deal, right? Sure.
That's the same principle, isn't it?
Exactly the same. $14.99. They're going to have to go some way to... because presumably you could stick that... If you had like a MIDI Manager, a MIDI Designer Pro, or anything where you can create your own kind of control interface, surely you could just stick one of those on and you're good to go.
Touch OSC.
There we go.
Because you can size your faders and your... knobs in Touch OSC, so you could just make them the right size to fit that perfect. I'm going to buy that.
I'm sorry, the thing about these things with the suction cup is so funny. I'm almost in tears crying.
It'll be like, you know, you have the sat nav.
This incredible piece of technology in your hands, and it can do so many incredible things, and you stick suction cups on this these little knobs. I don't know, hey, maybe it's useful, but maybe it's just comical a little bit. So.
Pop in the chat room very very succinctly put something. If I could scroll back down, you might be able to see what he said, which I think is perhaps a little bit. I think we won't say it out loud, but
yeah, that's right.
Still, but you know, I mean, so it's not impossible, but it just seems like if Ion can do it, and they're only $14.99 at Maplin.
Have you got a link to that? I want to buy that.
You do, yeah. Well, if you just look for Ion Scratch to Go, it will show up $14.99. In fact, it's home delivery.
This will be like my sat nav in my car, though, won't it? I'll be like making music, and the cup will just fall off on the floor at some inopportune moment.
Yeah, it might do.
That's the other thing. What if somebody does, say, a party with those, and if the suction is, I mean, if the atmosphere is just right, and the suction is, if your screen is dirty or something, it probably is in instructions to keep your screen clean. But you know, if you're going crossfade with those things, I would be nervous that they would slide or come off, or in the middle of your set while you're doing something. That would make me a little nervous.
Can you picture doing that in the middle of a like hardcore DJ mix battle then?
Oh, yeah, that's right. You lost at that.
No, wait. Can I do that again?
That's right. Pause. Somebody got spit. I need some spit.
I'm too nervous. I haven't got any of my own. Yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, so I don't know how these are going to sit. We do jest, but I mean, what I find really amusing is, you know, we've got a touch screen and we're kind of going retro because we want feedback. Yeah. We want, you know, and that there is obviously, you know, there will be a desire for this, and if they price them right, I think they were doing deals. In fact, I got an email because I signed up for the. Let me see if I can find it. I got an email just before the show started. Where was it? Promotions. Oh God, they're changing everything. Tuner DJ gear. Yeah, it says after. Basically, I won't show you this because it's in my email client. But after months of working on the tuner knobs, we can finally talk about it in this newsletter, and also. No, where was it? Oh man! Basically, it said I signed up to basically get information about it, and it says I was the first person to sign up. And they've given me a special URL, and if I win, I could get a 10 tuner knobs and 2 tuner pouches and a tuner sticker.
Oh wow!
For free.
All outfitted.
This is free. So I could have 10 tuner knobs. I like the idea of having a knob on, or maybe buttons. That might make sense. So something that's got a tactile. Because one of the things we use an iPad here for switching cameras. When it's not me that does it so much. It's when there's live action, maybe 2 people, and something going on the plinth. There's maybe 6 video sources being switched, and the problem is when somebody's looking at the set back there, they're not looking down. So you've got to position your fingers correctly over the buttons, because there's no feedback as to where you are. So there are purposes for these, but I guess in the sense of having to, but again, we're talking super niche, really. That I can't think there are that many other people who are doing that. But
I mean, it may be actually. I mean, the tuner knobs versus the ion ones. I mean, I think there might be uses for all of it, but the tuner knobs look interesting, and then I guess also is the interface that they had it used with in the pictures makes it look even more interesting. So I mean,
well, I don't know that is,
and I'm a fan of Kickstarter programs too.
Yeah, so. I don't know that isn't just OSC or something. It doesn't look like it's.
It may be.
It looks like OSC
sample kit. It does look like it. It's got that kind of simple thing going on there. I mean, it looks like a DJ type of, and there's some MPC pad type things. Yeah.
Looks nice. It's pretty cool.
So, there we go. There's that as well. So, I mean, it was news. That was Robbie Bronneman found that. That looks kind of interesting. But, yeah, we're probably, to be honest, there's very little other news going on. So that's kind of, I mean, that I've discovered. I'm sure there is other ones, and people perhaps with a bit more diligence than myself might be able to find some more things. Anything happened on in your world recently, Corey? I checked the site out. The one thing I did see that was really cool was that band that you interviewed at RBTS at Moogfest. They look really good.
Oh yeah, RBTS Win. That's a pretty dope band. I was supposed to go see them at Moogfest, and I mean, it was just so many things going on. I just didn't get a chance to check them out. But I was communicating with them and their PR person, and I dug their music a lot. They use MPCs and vintage synths and live guitar, and it's a style of music that's not typical. It's kind of like it has a soulful hip hop vibe, but then it almost sounds a little alternative, and they sing over it. And it just sounds good. I literally listen to it all the time in my car.
Yeah, I just discovered that today, and I thought it sounded. It's got a sort of soupiness to it that I really dig.
Yeah, it does.
I won't play it all because I'll get busted again, and I'm sick of getting busted by YouTube. It's just tedious. Oh yeah, and you sent an image, didn't you, of this guy, the modded workstat. That looks cute, doesn't it?
Workstat. That's pretty cool, right?
That looks lovely. Do you think the fact that it's just got a special PEF? Yeah, that's it. And he's modded that.
This is PEFs.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you get a
Did
you get a workstat?
That thing?
Did you get a workstat?
Yeah, I did. I got a workstat.
Are you using it a lot?
I am using it a lot. As a matter of fact, I want to use it more. So I'm bugging the mess out of PEF to see what mods he did and where he got that back plate. I'm sure he got it made himself.
Yeah, I'm guessing.
I'm like, hey, PEF, you need to sell those plates. I need one.
Yeah, I mean, the mods are pretty straightforward, aren't they? Because there's all sorts of patch points in there. So it's probably just a simple wiring thing. As you say, the most complex part is going to be getting the metalwork done. And I'm sure the problem is if it's got the word Moog on it, they're not going to let him make it. They'd have to make it themselves. But it does look cute.
You have to take that off. It's pretty nice, though. I'd love to incorporate that in my newfound habit of modular synths.
Yeah, I saw your Pittsburgh modular demo, and you were just off. I saw that it was like 8 minutes long, and I was thinking, yep, there he's in modular time.
That's right. It's fun stuff, man. And I got to say, I understand this stuff, and some stuff I'm getting used to, but it's no secret that most hip hop guys are not really into modular stuff. And if they are, they don't speak about it much. So I'm kind of getting used to that whole modular thing and getting used to how to incorporate it into my workflow. So it's been pretty fun to learn and get used to the especially that DNA symbiotic waves piece where you especially throw that demo was where I threw a LFO into the balanced CV and it kind of smoothly morphs between the two waveforms on that particular module. So it's pretty cool. Yeah, and I got lost in it.
Somebody was asking, this is pef.com. This is the guy who's been doing it. He's got a lot of stuff about he's got an oscilloscope there, so he's obviously serious, hooking it up with various things. And the integration is he's showing where he's got all those patch points going on, and I'm guessing modding the work stat. So he's done that, and here we go. Here it comes. I think the money shot's coming up anytime soon, or at least I hope so. Oh, there we go. There, he got the jack panel made. And then he plugged it in, and there we go. So you can check it out, pef.com. Looks like he's a well-respected modder. I guess that's probably going to take us to our pretty much. Oh, he's got an oscilloscope. He must be serious. Yes, that's right. Workstat on eBay. Hold on. Who says that? Workstat on eBay. 191 plus 30 quid. God, that's good value, isn't it? I'm surprised. I don't know how many they made. How many did they make? Because they
125 actually, but then I don't know if the other ones have been shipped. But initially for Mofest there was 125 made,
right?
And then the other ones are going to be in limited quantities too. So I don't think they're only doing another 125, or if they're going to be put together at all. I can't remember.
Apparently, Pef makes Reason rack extensions.
He does.
There we go.
Pretty cool ones too.
Yeah, so I'm going to click on that and see. Those are his. Right, so if you need to know more about what Pef does, I'm sorry, it won't scroll down any further than that due to a limitation of my layout, but do check them out. I think we're probably... Mark, have you got anything to add or contribute more? Because I think I'm going to probably wind things up if we're done.
Not at the moment.
That's all right. No pressure. I wasn't
It's like a job interview, isn't it? At
Mark,
the end.
can you just take over the show for me? I don't feel like doing it at the moment. Anyway, well, what we'll do is we'll say goodbye, because for all my remembering to press record, I actually pressed the record button, which went to record pause rather than record ready. No, it's all right. I've got it off the video now, but yeah, snore is my usual shoddy way of operating. So we'll say goodbye. We'll say thank you to everybody in the chat room for starters. So yes, all of you there, thank you. Had a night. Oh, good grief, got quite a lot there today. I'm not going to use the F word again. I only trying to use it once a show now, because some people get so uppity. And there was a huge amount of controversy actually for me calling the F word, and how anyway, I'm not even going to start that again. But Corey Banks, you're on holiday, man. What the hell are you doing here? You want to get off and have some fun. What are you going to be doing today with your holiday time? Well, this is fun, I hope, too.
Yeah, this is fun. This is not work. I'm in my my old hometown, Chicago, so I'm looking to see some friends and family and hang out, and should be fun.
Excellent. So
no real plans. That's the great thing about this vacation. No real plans. We're just winging it, and no schedule about things.
It's dangerous though. It's like going to Disneyland without any plans, and then when you come away, you think, "God, we didn't do anything, and that cost so much money, and we only had to go on one ride." You've got to be careful about that. But I admire your philosophy there. Thank you very much, Corey Banks, bboytechreport.com. Check out his stuff there, and also we'll say thank you very much to Mark Tinley as well. marktinley.co.uk. Who's looking kind of
shopping now?
You've been shopping. Have you been how many? Tell me, how many ounces of hemp seeds have you eaten?
Oh, I don't know, loads.
And how are you feeling? You feeling?
I feel absolutely fine. Yeah, it's
you
very
should say
nice.
I'm feeling a bit ropey. Actually, is the gag.
Are you?
There you go.
I'm going to do this. I've got OSC on my Touch OSC. Yeah, Touch OSC on my iPad. I designed that little interface for something. But I've just bought those knobs, so I'm going to have to change a few of those things around.
Oh, you bought
I've purchased Ion Scratch to Go DJ system, so I'll let you know next week what it's like.
Awesome.
I'd be interested to
glue
hear
it on here, and then maybe it'll. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe it could be fun.
As you know,
because I think that's the biggest problem is like you have to look at the thing to be able to use it. So if I've got something I can grab, I only ever play with frequency and resonance anyway.
That's all you need, isn't it? An envelope depth. What the hell? That's
that's too complicated.
Yeah. release, maybe. Decay?
Yeah, no, anything that's on a 303, actually, to be honest. But
there we go. That's all you need.
Yeah.
Mark, you know how I feel about live purchases on the show. I think that's just very commendable. So I'm very pleased for you.
They should give you a commission, really, shouldn't they?
I should have actually had some kind of affiliate link you could have used there, and I could have made like 9 pence or something. Yeah.
Missed the trick.
Ah, damn it. Anyway, thank you very much, everybody.
You're very welcome, and thank you.
Well, thank you. And also, we'll say thank you to Isotope for sponsoring the show. And remember, you can win a copy of Isotope. You just got to tweet out Iris Rocks to @SonicNick and @Isotope Inc. and add a little comment, and you could win a copy of Iris from Isotope. Anyway, that's it for this week. And I was going to play out with a little bit of... the Beach Child. I'll keep that going, and then maybe I won't get busted. This is this is who it is. RBTS Win. Apparently they used to be called Robots, so now they've shortened it to RBTS. See, I did read the actual interview as well there, Corey. So
there you go. Right.
My research is not fully redundant. Anyway, so here it comes, a little bit of this. So.